Wait, so what? Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for the mid-season finale of The Flash, Season 1, Episode 9, The Man in the Yellow Suit. And I don't know if Arrow versus Flash did something to the show, but this episode was it was completely different from the rest of the show. I mean, we were a lot more focused. We had a more focused storyline. It wasn't like a metahuman of the week sort of thing. We actually focused on the main storyline of this show. There was a lot less action in this episode, and it was a lot like an Arrow episode. So I don't know if Flash vs. Arrow did something, but it was a lot different. By far the best episode of the season. I mean, just, wow, what an amazing, amazing episode. But that ending I don't know what to say about that. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's just get to this episode. Overall, I thought this episode was very, very good. I loved it. As I said, best episode of the season, and we found out a lot of stuff in this episode, and I am definitely looking forward to January. And what I like about the show is that it's finally focused. I mean, the season has been focused overall, but they've kind of been focusing more on the pointless, the once-a-week metahuman that we might see again for, like, another episode, but they're not, like, the main arc. The main arc here is who killed Barry's mother, and that's really what we focus on here. So we start off in the West, basically in the West household, and they're all putting up decorations and everything, and I love that Barry, basically put up the ornaments on the tree like that. I thought that was hilarious to watch, but it's cut short when Joe is called into the police department. So once Barry and Iris are alone, they decide to open a few Christmas presents early, but Barry gives Iris a replica of her mother's wedding band, and Iris gives Barry a microscope. So, but they have a lot of chemistry in the scene, but any chance of anything happening here is cut short because Eddie shows up and takes Iris to coffee, and that's cut short. So Barry then Barry's obviously kind of upset, but he goes to visit Wells, Caitlin, and Cisco. And Caitlin, as you can see, is kind of depressed. She's not really feeling the holiday. She's kind of upset about it. But Wells, we actually find out, is not into Christmas. He used to be, but ever since his wife left him and everything, he's kind of been depressed about it. He hasn't been into Christmas because he used to be very into Christmas and now he's not. So I thought that was interesting to see, definitely, especially because we know Wells is such a, interesting character here. I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen there. By the way, guys, Arrow and the Flash, Arrow released a clip for something with the Flash, so we already know who Sarah's killer was. Sarah's killer, I'm just going to say right now, is the Reverse Flash. They released the clip online. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So at Jitters, Eddie mentions how he noticed that Barry seemed very disappointed by his arrival, and he asks Iris if Barry has stronger feelings for Iris. And of course, she's oblivious to it, which I kind of like, because most times when someone has feelings, the guy is portrayed as oblivious, and the girl, is the one that has feelings. However, this show's portraying a different way, and I like that they're doing that, because you don't really get to see that a lot. A lot of times, it's the guy that's oblivious and the girl that has feelings, but in this case, Barry is the one that has feelings, and Iris is completely oblivious about it. She has no idea that he has these feelings for her. So Eddie gives Iris her present early, which is a key to his apartment, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, they just got together. This is not like a long relationship or anything, so they're kind of rushing things, I kind of feel. I mean, come on, they're rushing things. So Caitlin sees Ronnie in Star Labs parking garage. That's her main focus right now, is finding out what the hell is going on with Ronnie, because of course the cliffhanger of last week's episode, which I loved, is that Ronnie is back. She chases him, he bursts into flames before running out of her reach. And meanwhile, at Mercury Labs, we see Star Labs' chief rival. The Reverse Flash invades the labs, kills the guards, and Barry and the Central City Police come to the crime scene later. The witnesses describe the murderer as a blur in a yellow suit, and Barry instantly links the description to his mother's murderer, who also wore a yellow suit. And he tells this to Joe, and Joe admits that the Reverse Flash has stalked him for weeks and threatened to kill Iris. Of course, we saw there was a cliffhanger if Joe didn't stop investigating Nora Allen's death with Barry. That, of course, he said that he was going to do that, so I like that Joe confessed to that. And also what I like is all the post-credit scenes really came together in this episode, and they all sort of made sense here. The only one that didn't make sense was the whole gorilla one. I don't know where they're heading with that. They didn't even talk about that. They haven't talked about it for weeks. I don't know where they're heading with that, but they gotta go somewhere with that. Barry and Joe go back to Star Labs, where the Flash team discovers that Mercury Labs led by Dr. Tina McGee, who is a new character who we meet, who I like her character. I think she's a good character overall, and I'm wondering if we're going to see more of her, because I do like her character. They are researching tachyon particles with a special device. They deduced that Reverse Flash was looking for the tachyon device that Mercury invented, and decided to ask her if they can use it to bait Reverse Flash. So Barry and Wells contact Dr. McGee and ask if they can use her tachyon work for their investigation into the Reverse Flash, and she refuses. She doesn't want to help them with this. Probably because she's a scientist, and she thinks that they're better. You know, she thinks that, I don't know why, but she doesn't want to, basically, you know, contact them and everything. So Caitlin heads back to Star Labs, and she tells Cisco that she saw Ronnie. Cisco insists that it's impossible. You know, he doesn't think anything of it. He's like, what are you talking about? You know, there's no way you saw Ronnie. I mean, think about it. If you heard that, you know, basically you just saw someone who you thought was dead, I would probably be like, you know, if one of my friends told me that, I wouldn't believe them. I mean, it makes sense why he's obviously, you know, thinks that she's crazy about it, but she, you know, she begs him to help her, and meanwhile, Barry is sitting alone in Central City PD lab, and he takes an unpleasant trip down memory lane. We see a very disturbing flashback, but this was very well done. We see a flashback to the night that Reverse Flash murdered his mother. It's a very hard scene to watch. I mean, I almost cried in this scene. It was that hard to watch, because we see Nora, she puts Barry to bed and everything. His father comes in, and then she's killed. So, I mean, it's so sad to watch. We saw it in the pilot, but still, it's very disturbing to watch, and Iris snaps him out of it and tells Barry that she's going to move in with Eddie, and Barry is less than thrilled, and but denies that he feels weird about it, and she asks him, you know, directly if Barry is interested in her, and he shuts down the idea, denies any feelings, and I understand why he's doing this. He wants Iris to be happy. He can see that Iris and Eddie are happy together, plus Oliver told him last week, let her go. You're not going to end up with her. And basically, we established last week that Barry was too confident. He knows that now, and he's trying to be a little bit more subdued about things, which I like seeing. I like seeing Barry kind of be not as confident, because it kind of shows what depth that Flash vs. Arrow did to him, which I do like, because it's not just like a one-episode thing. It actually has done something to him, which I like. So then, basically, he wanders the windows of his office, where he sees Reverse Flash stalking him from a nearby rooftop. He chases Professor Zoom and asks why he killed his mother, Reverse Flash, who vibrates his face and vocal cord like Barry to protect his identity, smiles, and says that if Barry wants to know the truth, he'll have to catch him first. The chase is on. Reverse Flash leads Barry into a football stadium. This is a very good scene, by the way. He proceeds to thrash the Scarlet Speedster. Reverse Flash acts like he knows Barry, claiming that Barry knows him, and that he and Barry have been at it for a long time. Reverse Flash spares Flash, however, and leaves him alive. So, you know, we only get a few action scenes, but this was one of the really awesome ones. We don't actually get to see a final battle between Reverse Flash and Flash, because Reverse Flash is now our main villain of the season. So, back at Central City Police Department, Wells and Joe devise a plan to catch Reverse Flash. With Joe's position on the force, the team forced Dr. McGee to turn the tachyon device over to Dr. Wells. And as that occurs, Cisco and Caitlin track down Ronnie with a device that Cisco devised. The two find Ronnie, who says that he's not Ronnie, he's Firestorm, and that he creates a fireball and flees, and you can tell that Ronnie is a completely different person now, and we don't know what happened to him, and I love that. I love that we have no idea what's going on with Ronnie, because he's basically like Wells now. He's a very mysterious character, and I would not be surprised if they start giving Ronnie post-credit scenes. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all, because of course they've been giving Wells the post-credit scenes, and now if they give Ronnie post-credit scenes, I wouldn't be surprised with that at all if they decide to do that. So Barry and the team put the tachyon device in the middle of Star Labs as bait, but Joe and Dr. Wells tells Barry that he must sit the mission out since he's too close to the case, and Barry argues that this is his fight, and Joe insists, and Barry's very frustrated. He storms out of the room, and Caitlin is crying by herself. You know, she just realized, you know, over the revelation of Firestorm's debut, she missed to Cisco that she wishes Ronnie had just died instead of transforming into Firestorm, and it makes sense, obviously, why she's upset about that. It definitely makes sense, because obviously this is her husband we're talking about. I mean, she loved him, and she was so upset when he died. And now to see that basically he doesn't give two shits about her, obviously makes her really upset. So Barry visits his father, Henry, in prison, and I love this scene. I honestly love scenes. I know people get a little sick and tired when they focus on Barry trying to go after his mother, but his father actually puts a stop to it, which I definitely really like. I love seeing Henry and Barry interact because Henry's actually a very good father to Barry, and I definitely like seeing that. Even though we're so used to Joe and Barry, it's great to see him and his real father interact. He basically tells him that he found Nora's killer but failed to catch him, and Barry apologized for failing Henry and Nora, but Henry insists that it's alright, and he insists that Barry actually should stop the investigation, saying that's already taken enough from their life, and he doesn't want something bad to happen to Barry, and I agree with his advice. He should be, basically, focused on his own life, and he even tells Barry to go after Iris. He says, if you love Iris, go after her, and I thought that was very well done, and it really shows the differences between Oliver and Henry. Oliver, we established, is not very confident. He kind of doesn't really have much hope in the world, but Henry does, and I like seeing that definitely. So he decides to take his father's advice. He goes to visit Iris, and he admits he loves Iris, romantically. He literally says that to her, which I was surprised about because it seemed like he was just gonna, they were gonna, make this very slow pace or whatever, and I thought they were gonna kiss or something, but I think that'd be a little bit cheesy if they did that. The show's already very cheesy, and that would just put it to a whole new level, so I'm happy they didn't do that. And he says that he's held a crush on her since childhood. He never admitted this. He says because he was afraid the truth would scare her away, and Iris is completely speechless. She had no idea that he thought of her this way, so he uses this silence as an opportunity to leave, which probably wasn't the, best move to do, obviously. Probably wasn't the best thing to do. So things are going better now for Wells and Joe when they catch Reverse Flash in their Tachyon containment field at Star Labs. And now with Reverse Flash cage, Wells, Joe, and Eddie confront Reverse Flash, and this is when the episode's getting a little bit crazy. Joe asks Reverse Flash why he killed Nora Allen. He asks him straight out, why'd you kill Nora Allen? But Reverse Flash completely ignores him, and he engages with Wells instead, saying that they met at last, and Wells doesn't seem to recognize, he doesn't recognize the man, he doesn't recognize the man in yellow, but says that he has the same powers as the Flash, and Reverse Flash disagrees, saying that he is, in fact, Flash's reverse. That's what he is. He's the Reverse Flash. So, this one gets pretty crazy. Reverse Flash breaks out of prison, grabs Wells, transports them back into the prison. And by the way, guys, I am completely confused right now by these scenes because there's something that happens at the end of this episode, which I definitely want to talk about. And with Eddie and Joe unable to help, Reverse Flash beats Wells to the pulp. The team is unable to save Wells just as the Flash shows up. Reverse Flash then gives Barry his second beatdown. He's about to kill Barry, but Firestorm arrives just in time, and we see that Firestorm is actually a good guy. He is going to help Barry. He hurls a fireball at Reverse Flash. Firestorm scares him away, but before he takes off, Reverse Flash says it's not over between him and the Scarlet Speedster, and Caitlin tries engaging Ronnie. Ronnie tells her never to look at him again, and Firestorm flies away. So clearly, there is something going on with Firestorm. We don't know what it is, but clearly Firestorm wants nothing to do with Caitlin, and I have no idea why. I have no idea why Firestorm wants nothing to do with Caitlin. I mean, this is Ronnie we're talking about, the man who loved her so much that he risked his life. And that could be part of the reason why he doesn't want to talk to her, because he doesn't want something bad to happen to her. If that's true, it does make sense. If that's why he doesn't want to talk to her, I can understand that. But at the same time, dude, this is your wife. Why aren't you talking to her? I mean, she's the first person you see and you just, ignore her. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, he needs to definitely explain himself. They're not going to explain themselves yet because this is the mid-season finale. They need to give us more questions. That's what mid-season finales do, is they give us more questions. They make things more confusing. And I usually hate that because it makes things more confusing and it makes me really want to see what happens in January. But I still love it. I love it because it adds more questions. It adds more to the show. The show actually isn't about, just catching that, catch that metahuman. That's not what it's about. It's not like catch the metahuman. That's not what the show's about now. Now it's about the actual plot, and I definitely really enjoy that. So they recoup at Central State Police Department, and Eddie asks Joe why Reverse Flash didn't kill him, and Joe explains to Eddie what metahumans are. And this scene was extremely huge because Eddie all season in the dark completely. He has no idea anything about metahumans. He doesn't know what they are. He doesn't know what, how they work. He doesn't know anything about them, pretty much. He doesn't even know, how capable the Flash is of things. That's really all he knows, how capable the Flash is. Besides that, he is completely in the dark about metahumans. He knows nothing about them. So Joe tries to explain to Eddie what metahumans are and says that the two of them are the only ones the police force who know of their existence. And Eddie asks Joe if he knows the Flash's secret identity, and I honestly thought that Joe was going to tell him. I mean, I thought he was going to, but I was like, why would Joe do that to Barry? I don't know what I was thinking, because Joe would not do something like that to Barry. He wouldn't just blow Barry's cover for Eddie to find out about, because obviously that's what Eddie wants, but he's not going to do that to Barry, because who's Eddie after? The Flash. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go after the Flash because, of course, one, he broke Iris's heart because Oliver told him to. Two, he's catching the Flash. So, obviously, two, the Flash, almost killed him. So, obviously, he's going after the Flash. But I definitely feel this is going to arouse Eddie's suspicions. If he sees Barry do anything suspicious or anything out of the ordinary, he's going to be on to him. I can just tell. I can definitely tell the way they're writing Eddie. He is definitely, I think, going to become more suspicious and more sort of more aware of his surroundings. I think he's going to try to figure out who the Flash is. He's going to uncover his identity. That's really what he wants to do now. He doesn't care about the Reverse Flash as much as he does about catching the Flash. That's really what he wants to do, which I think is going to be really cool if that's where we're heading with Eddie, because I think that's really awesome. So then we get a great scene. Grant Gustin and Jesse L. Martin in this scene. Loved it. Oh my god. I mean, it really shows how great these two work together. And as I said, this episode was pretty dialogue driven. There wasn't a whole lot of action going on, minus those two scenes I talked about. Besides that, there's not a lot of action going on. It's a pretty dialogue heavy episode. And this really shows that, because this was a very well done scene in my opinion. And maybe one of my favorite scenes of the season so far. Barry admits that he's been afraid of the man in yellow his whole life. He says he's always been afraid of him. And that's why he's lost in his fight against him. And I really like this episode also was trying to show that Barry is not as powerful as he thinks he is. He thinks that he's so powerful. All season, he thinks he can save people. All season, he's thinking, he can save everyone. He can get the girl. He thinks he can do all that. But he can't do that because of the fact that he's not that powerful. He's too overconfident. He's too, he needs things done this is what he's used to. He's used to things like going by. It really shows you that not everything's just going to get solved in an hour. It's that simple. Not everything's going to be solved in one day. Barry's used to things being solved like that, and he's now realizing that this case he's not going to be able to solve as easy as it is, which I definitely like seeing because it adds a recurring storyline to the show, and I definitely really enjoy that. So Joe cures depression with some very sentimental thought. He says that Barry's presence has been a light in his and Iris' lives. He says that, without him, he doesn't know where he'd be today, and that the Flash has saved so many people, and how much, everyone cares about the Flash, and he tells him to never lose that light. And I love that advice he gave him. That was great advice. I love that. I mean, Joe has really been, as I said, the father figure in Barry's life, and that really shows that perfectly. And that was a very well done scene, in my opinion. I love where that was. I love that. I thought that was just fantastic. So Cisco and Caitlin patch up Dr. Wells, and Wells says that he knows Ronnie is back and promises to bring him home. Because they obviously want to find out what's going on with Ronnie. He's not talking to Caitlin. He's being very distant. There's definitely something going on with him. They don't know what it is, though. So, with all the bad feelings out of the way, this episode literally ends the way Pretty Little Liars ended, because Pretty Little Liars ended with a montage of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and this ended with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas in the background. I don't know if that was a coincidence, or if they did that on purpose, but that happened. So Barry, Iris, Eddie, Joe and Cisco, and Caitlin meet up at the West household to drink eggnog, and Barry tells Iris and Eddie that he's alright with them moving in together. He's alright with it, he approves of it. And I like this because it's showing that he knows that he can't be with Iris right now. He knows that Iris really likes Eddie. And he knows that, Eddie is very, he knows that, Eddie's, is worried that he likes her. So to basically get rid of his suspicions, he's going to pretend he doesn't like her and just be okay with them together. And as long as she's happy, then he's happy, which I like. I mean, I definitely feel that those two have a future together. I definitely could see them having a future. I mean, every scene, they have so much chemistry. You can't deny it. I know some people say they want Barry and Felicity. I would love that too, but you can't deny that every single scene that Barry and Iris are in, they have so much chemistry, because they do. That's just the way it is. They have so much chemistry. They work really well together, and if they don't get together by the end of this season, I'm going to be very surprised, definitely, if they don't get together by, I'd say, like, the end of the season. I definitely feel they're going to take it slow, though. And maybe not the end of the season, but, like, in a couple seasons, definitely they'll be together. I definitely feel they're going to be together quicker than Felicity and Oliver. Because Barry's a very different person than Oliver, but he's slowly becoming Oliver. I could definitely see Season 2 Barry becoming like Oliver. I definitely see that happening. So, Cisco tells Joe that the man in yellow suit may have killed Nora. Yeah, no shit. But that he wasn't alone in the murder. He knows this. He says, because the Flash and Reverse Flash generated red and yellow lightning when they fought, the site matches the red and yellow lightning that Barry said he saw on the night that Nora died. So, they pretty much think that this is the guy that did it. They now want to go after him, and that's going to be the plot here. However, everything changes in the post-credit scene as usual. I have no idea what this is saying. I literally don't know what they're trying to set up here. I don't know, because Wells, we see Wells, of course, and every time we see Wells, we get more suspicious of him. And this is probably the most concrete evidence we have that Wells is not a good guy now, because he opens a door to a room with the Reverse Flash's costume inside, puts the tachyon device on the suit, then vibrating his vocal cord just like Reverse Flash did earlier in the episode, and he wishes the Flash a Merry Christmas. So, what? Are they trying to show that Wells is Reverse Flash? Because if they are, I have no idea how. I mean, he talked to the Reverse Flash. He was almost captured the Reverse Flash. Like, how can he be Reverse Flash? He can't be in two places at once. That doesn't make any sense. How is he Reverse Flash? I don't get it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's not like he was cloned or something. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense of what's going on there. And if they are trying to set that up really cool, it's really predictable, but it's cool, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, it does make sense as why Oliver was so suspicious about Wells, because if that's where they're heading with this, then it's going to get really cool, because the way Arrow set up is that Reverse Flash also killed Sarah. So, I definitely see that if Wells is really Reverse Flash, that Oliver-Wells confrontation is coming a lot sooner than we think it is. And I definitely feel that Oliver's going to be on the Flash a lot more. And that's going to be really cool if that's where they're heading with this, because I could definitely see that happening here. But let's talk about this episode overall. Overall, this was by far the best episode of the season. I was so into it. This whole episode was amazing. The performances were amazing. The acting was fantastic. I love that Barry is starting to realize that he's not going to be as powerful as he is. Not everything is going to get solved in a few minutes. Not everything is going to get solved like that. He needs to be patient. And I definitely like that he is starting to sense that in this episode. Let's talk about Ronnie. Definitely Firestorm is being very distant. I think it's because he wants to protect Caitlin, but we're going to have to see why, because of course they want to capture him. We'll have to see what's going on there. That's going to be definitely very interesting to see. I'm interested in seeing where that arc goes. Eddie, as I said, is definitely going to be a lot more suspicious now of Flash. We're going to have to see what happens. I don't know if he's going to find out Barry is the Flash this season. That's definitely going to take a while. I mean, think about how long it took for Oliver to reveal to everyone that he is the Arrow. I mean, Thea still does not know. She's the only person that doesn't know, but she still does not know. So, I definitely feel it's going to take a little while for him to figure out, and Iris, it's going to take definitely a very long time. Eddie, I feel, is going to find out before Iris, though, because now that he knows what metahumans are capable of and what they do, if he sees the slightest thing, if he sees, like, Barry, you know when he was, like, messing with his powers, like the Christmas tree? He sees him do, like, something with that, he's going to be on to him, and he's going to hold that against Barry. And if Iris finds out, then she's going to be really pissed, because, of course, the Flash did that terrible thing to her, and that's not going to be good if that happens, and Barry's honestly going to be screwed if that happens, but I don't know what's going to happen there. We'll have to see what happens. Let's talk about Joe and Cisco. I definitely feel they're going to be teaming up to stop the Reverse Flash. Do you really think Reverse Flash is Wells? I kind of feel like Wells hired someone, or maybe he's working with Reverse Flash. I don't think this confirms that he's Reverse Flash. Yes, the thing with him warming up his voice does sound a little bit suspicious, but you never know. He could have, like, been, like, the Reverse Flash's, like, voice trainer. He could have he could have taught him how to do that. Remember, he is from the future, so we have no idea where he's from, what his story is, and things like that. So, he could have been with the Reverse Flash all this time. It definitely does make sense if that's what's going on. Maybe he sent Reverse Flash from the future to come into there, and that actually is Wells, in like the present. Maybe that is present Wells. Of course, this is future Wells, so maybe this is actually present Wells. It could make sense if that's what's going on. As far as, I'm trying to think of what else I want to talk about. I really think that's it, guys. I honestly think that's it. Is Barry really going to give up, you know, this case? I don't think he's going to. He's definitely not giving up this case. Okay, this case is going to continue, but I don't think he's giving it up. But it's going to be, they're definitely going to take it a lot slower. But you can tell that now they're going to focus on that man yellow suit case. They're going to focus on Firestorm. We now have actual plots this season, which I love. And I really love everything that, you know, where the season is headed. I really love the way the season is going. I love where it's headed. I think it's going to be really, really awesome to see what ends up happening. That's going to be really cool to see. And I'm definitely interested in seeing, you know, how this is going to affect all the characters. That's going to be really cool to see as well. But that's basically for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode. Overall, guys, this season has been amazing so far. I love where they're heading with it, especially after this episode. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will probably be for Reigns of S.H.I.E.L.D. Mid-season finale, but I really want to review the Sons of Anarchy finale as soon as possible, so I'm going to watch it right now, and then I'll watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know if I'll review them in order. We'll have to see. If Sons of Anarchy ends huge, I'm reviewing it right away, but we'll have to see what happens. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for either one of those two, so I'll see you guys for that. And I'm also happy I watched Pretty Little Liars live, but I'm happy I watched The Flash after it. I mean, they're both really good, but definitely, you can see that The Flash is improving, and I like The Flash is improving, and it honestly is becoming one of my favorite new series of the fall season. You know, it definitely became one of my favorite new series. Is it on my top 10 list of shows this year? No, but I feel like it's going to get up there, definitely. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.